The 3-to-1 camp, the brainchild of Minister Damion Crawford, aimed to prepare grades 5 to 6 students for GSAT and 4th to 5th formers for CXC Math.
So we did the camp for two basic reasons. The first was to get the kids going into an exam year additional exposure. So those in 5th grade going to 6th grade for GSAT and those in 10th grade going to 11th grade for CXC. And research shows that additional exposure leads to improved output. And the second was to expose them to the concept of the university, that the possibility existed for them and that many of the students at the university were actually from their own communities. And so giving them a goal to work towards and therefore increasing motivation and increasing effort. So the two basic reasons was to give them additional exposure to the material and to give them exposure to the university so they saw that as a reality that they could work towards.
The long-term objective is to have a degree in every household in rural St. Andrew in the next 20 years.
The camp is actually a part of the 3-to-1, and that is why it's called the 3-to-1 summer camp. What I want to do is to achieve 3 CXC subjects per household within the first term, 5 years, and then to have 2 CAPE per household 10 years after and a degree per household 5 years after. So the concept of the 3-to-1 is to have a degree per household in 20 years. We decided to keep the camp because we felt that if they got into the what they call quote-unquote more traditional schools, the probability of success would have been increased to pass CXC subjects. And also if we could expose them to 1 subject a year at the CXC level, that they could be able to pass, in this case, mathematics, which is the most instrumental subject as it relates to university acceptance. And many persons with CAPE can't get into UA because they don't have CXC maths. So therefore, the 3-to-1 was a basis to expose these kids and to achieve the concept initially of 3 CXC per household.
A good idea, this coming like private lessons. So if you get them thinking of my ideas, but that be bright boys, that brighter than this. And I tell you the truth, right now the youth them, if they don't benefit from this, they might joke. But I might tell you say a good thing, maths, when nobody no love, this can help them, for real.
The registration process was very hectic and taxing on everyone involved. After addressing the parents and students on what to expect and answering questions, the process of placement began. Students were then led to their dorms to meet roommates, say goodbye to parents, and get a good night's rest for the first time in their dorm. In the first week, a diagnostic test was done to help the teachers to determine a course of action based on the level the students were at.
When we came and we checked, basically they were at nothing, meaning that they didn't even have foundation. So that's where we started. We started with foundation and we kind of moved quickly through that, and we're into some like 3rd form math now, and they seem to be picking up. I asked a while ago about the tutorials, and one of the guys running the tutorial says it's going good. What I'm trying to do is to give them a tutorial sheet every day so that they have something to work on and that they keep practicing. So I expect to see some improvement. We're not assuming that everybody who comes through this program going 4th form into 5th form will get a 1 in CXC next year. Considering what we've started with, we're not going to get that. But there should be a few of them at least who can make it. And so what we want to see that there is some improvement. So at the end actually, we're going to get another test. And that test will show us if there is any improvement because we have the names and we'll have to be able to do a comparison at that point. Alright, so. But as I said, I think that they are learning, and the fact that they are paying attention, especially the girls, in the manner that they are, means that they are learning something. They are learning things that they haven't learned before and getting things. And when I ask them questions, for the most part, people are answering and correcting the mistakes and stuff. And one of the important things that they're learning, which I've been trying to teach them, is they're learning to ask questions. Because a lot of times, students are not understanding what is going on, and they don't want to ask because of pride or whatever. And so I'm trying to get them out of that, because that's the only way you learn, by asking questions.
For the GSAT students, the test was in the hall. It was a quiet room, and you could see the focus on a lot of their faces. There were a few, though, who needed reminders that they're in a test.
Keep your hands on your paper and on your neighbors.
The students who kept corresponding had to stand and do the test. The papers were marked immediately after.
diagnostic tests where we did diagnostic tests in all the subjects, and during the results of those, they showed us that most of the children at the camp, I can say approximately 80% of them, were performing below the average of a grade 5 class, and where the average should be. But during what we have seen during the weeks of teaching is that the potential, we start seeing the potential, we start seeing that they are learning, we start seeing improvement in many of the areas. Also, we start seeing a change in some of the attitude towards the work. Those are some of the things we're looking for.
In the mornings, while volunteers prepared the hall to accommodate children, students started their day with exercise. The idea was to breed discipline and to kickstart the day and keep them energized.
Well, we just have a morning routine where we want to get them blood running and warm them up, so give them some exercise, and then love run, practice a little running where we start them off 5 at a time, 5 people to a team, and race winners, first, second and third, then line up, and then we take it back over again and let all the third place winners, second place winners, and then all the first place winners run against each other. We basically do this kind of warm-up every morning and so forth, as well as all type of sit-ups, push-ups, jumping jacks, because, you know, it's important to get them blood flowing in the morning to keep them active during the rest of the day.
If there was no announcement to be made or problem to address, they'd get cleaned up, then off to breakfast. Volunteers worked hard to get the food ready each morning for over 400 children. Preparing 3 square meals for so many mouths was no easy task, but the children were cared for so they can have the ability to get the most out of each day.
The major trouble as it relates to camps and activities for less fortunate persons is funding. It's easier to raise sponsorship when they are a part of the market, which means that they have the income to demand the products that exist. But when they don't have the income to be a part of the market, it's much more difficult. And so therefore I was grateful to Sharon Berg, who spearheaded the attempts to raise funds. And eventually we got extensive funding from persons who just had goodwill, for example, Stewart's Motors, who do motor vehicles, unlikely to be a market for these kids in the very near future. They came on board with almost $1 million, and as well Wisinko, who provided a lot of the drinks, food and other activities. KFC came on board in an extensive way, and Lime came on board in an extensive way, mostly because of the influence and impact that Sharon and the contacts that she had. So it was made easier for that. The other problem was to convince the university to have kids 11 living in halls that were made for kids at 18, and at the same time interacting with kids at 18, because summer school was still in. So my relationship with the university came in handy, and I am grateful to the Lodgings unit, in particular Mr. Atal Hamilton, for assisting with that. The final problem was to get all the parents to sign up. It was the first thing of its kind to them, and they didn't know what to expect. And to send a child to the care for somebody else over 21 days is not an easy decision for a parent to make. So they had to convince them that their kids would have been in good hand. So they wanted the exposure, but they didn't want their kids to be out of their houses for 21 days.
In the afternoon, the children had a few hours of playtime. They played football, netball, cricket, and well, a few just got creative. Some of the CXC girls preferred to use that time to rest, talk, study, groom each other, and the occasional prank.